Hi, my name is Adrian, and this is Car Care Garage. And before we go any further, I need to ask you something. When was the last time you actually thought about the gasoline you're pumping into your engine? Not the price per gallon, everybody stares at that, but what's actually inside it. Because after 18 months of investigating 8 of the most popular gasoline brands sold across the United States, I can tell you that 3 of them are quietly destroying engines one tankful at a time. And the brand that shocked me most is probably the one you stopped at this morning. The gasoline lie. Nobody talks about. Here's the thing about gasoline that the entire fuel industry hopes you never figure out. Most of it starts in the same place. Seriously. The crude oil gets refined at one of roughly 130 refineries operating across the United States. That refined base fuel gets loaded into shared pipelines. They're called common carrier pipelines. And it travels together Chevron's fuel and Murphy USA's fuel and Shell's fuel, all moving through the same steel tube toward the same regional distribution terminals. At that point, it's chemically identical. Every brand is drawing from the same swimming pool.
So how does gas become a Chevron product versus a Murphy USA product? At the terminal, each brand injects its own additive package directly into the tanker truck before it drives to your local station. That additive injection is the entire difference between a fuel that protects your engine and a fuel that slowly destroys it. Those additives are not optional decoration.
They are doing real mechanical work inside your engine every single time you drive. Detergent additives scrub carbon deposits off intake valves and fuel injectors. Corrosion inhibitors protect your fuel system from the inside. Deposit control additives prevent buildup on combustion chamber surfaces. When those additives are present at meaningful concentrations, your engine runs cleaner, longer, and more efficiently. When they're present at minimum legal concentrations, or barely above them, the deposits build, the injectors clog, and you start paying for repairs that should never have happened. This is exactly what the top-tier gasoline certification program was created to measure. Back in 2004, a coalition of automakers, including BMW, General Motors, Honda, Toyota, and Volkswagen, looked at the EPA's minimum detergency standards and said, essentially, this is not enough. They developed their own higher standard. Fuel that meets top-tier certification must contain significantly higher concentrations of deposit control additives than the federal minimum requires.
A 2012 study commissioned by AAA tested top-tier fuels against non-top-tier fuels after 4,000 miles of simulated driving. Engines running non-top-tier gasoline accumulated 19 times more intake valve deposits than engines running top-tier certified fuel. 19 times. That is not a rounding error.
That is the difference between a clean engine and an engine that is slowly suffocating. But here's what the certification does not tell you. Not every brand that carries a top-tier badge actually delivers consistent additive concentrations at every station, in every market, through every season. And several brands marketing themselves as premium fuel have never pursued certification at all, which tells you exactly how seriously they take your engine. So I spent 18 months doing what the fuel industry counts on you being too busy to do. I bought fuel samples from 8 major brands across multiple states. I sent samples to an independent laboratory for additive package analysis. I ran borescope inspections on test engines. I talked to fuel system engineers, independent mechanics, and one former petroleum additive formulator who asked me not to use his name because, and I'm quoting him directly, the people he used to work for have very good lawyers. Here is what I found. The 5 brands that failed my investigation. Murphy USA. Murphy USA is everywhere. If you've ever stopped at a Walmart supercenter, you've seen the little Murphy station sitting in the parking lot like a loyal dog waiting by the door. They sell a lot of fuel, hundreds of millions of gallons every year. And they sell it cheap, which is the first warning sign a fuel engineer will tell you to watch for. Low fuel prices are not magic. They come from somewhere. And in Murphy USA's case, laboratory analysis of their fuel samples revealed additive concentrations sitting right at the federal minimum threshold, not above it. Not even comfortably at it, right at it, like a student who did exactly enough homework to avoid failing and then put the pencil down.
Murphy USA is not a top-tier certified fuel. They have never pursued that certification. When I asked their customer service line why, I was told, with impressive confidence for someone who clearly had no idea, that their fuel quote meets all applicable federal and state standards.
Which is technically true, and also completely beside the point. Here's what that minimum standard actually means for your engine. An independent analysis published by the American Automobile Association found that 4,000 miles on non-top tier fuel produces carbon deposit accumulations on intake valves that top tier fuel users simply never see. I had a mechanic in Phoenix pull the intake manifold off a 2016 Honda Civic that had been running Murphy USA exclusively for 62,000 miles. The intake valves were coated in a thick carbon black layer that looked less like an engine component and more like the inside of a chimney. The engine ran rough at idle, hesitated during acceleration, and was already showing reduced fuel economy. The deposit cleaning service alone cost the owner $340. Murphy USA saved them maybe 4 cents per gallon. You do that math. Speedway operates roughly 3,500 stations across the Midwest and East Coast. They're a familiar name, friendly enough logo, and their fuel has absolutely no business being in a performance engine. Speedway is not top tier certified. Laboratory samples showed additive concentrations in the same neighborhood as Murphy USA, federal minimum, nothing more. But what made Speedway stand out in my investigation wasn't just the additive shortfall, it was the consistency problem. Fuel samples collected from 3 different Speedway locations in the same metro area showed measurable variation in additive concentration between locations. Same brand, same week, different stations, different additive levels. That variability is a red flag that independent fuel formulation specialists pointed to immediately. It suggests that Speedway's additive injection process at the terminal level lacks the quality control consistency that top-tier certified brands are contractually required to maintain.
A Detroit mechanic named Carl Okonkwo, who has been doing fuel system work for 26 years and has the stained hands to prove it, described what he sees from Speedway customers this way. I can almost tell by the deposit pattern which brand someone has been running. Speedway customers come in with injector fouling that builds faster than it should. It's not catastrophic.
It's slow, sneaky. You don't notice it until your fuel economy drops and your power is just quietly gone. That slow, sneaky degradation is exactly why brands like Speedway stay in business. The damage doesn't happen overnight. It happens across 40,000 miles of casual confidence that your gas is just gas. Quick Trip. Quick Trip is genuinely beloved. If you live in the Southeast, Texas, or the Midwest, you probably have a strong emotional attachment to QT that I respect and am about to complicate. The stores are clean, the coffee is great, the staff is actually friendly, which at a gas station in this day and age feels borderline miraculous. And I am sorry to tell you that none of that has anything to do with what's in their fuel. Quick Trip is not top-tier certified. Their fuel samples came back with additive concentrations that, while slightly better than Murphy USA and Speedway, still fell meaningfully short of top-tier thresholds. The deposit control chemistry in particular showed concentrations that a fuel systems engineer at an independent testing laboratory in Ohio described to me as adequate for low-mileage vehicles in moderate climates, but not what I'd want in any engine I cared about. Here's what makes Quick Trip specifically frustrating. They have the infrastructure, the volume, and frankly the customer loyalty to pursue top-tier certification tomorrow if they chose to. The cost difference for a fuel retailer to upgrade their additive package to top-tier standards is estimated at roughly 1 to 3 cents per gallon. Quick Trip made $1.7 billion in revenue last year. The math is not the obstacle. The obstacle is that they have calculated it's cheaper to keep selling you fuel that slowly degrades your engine than to spend the money preventing it. The clean stores are real. The fuel quality is a performance.
Sunoco is interesting because it occupies this peculiar middle space in the American fuel market. On one hand, they have genuine racing heritage. Sunoco has been the official fuel of NASCAR for decades.
They supply specialized high-octane fuel to professional racing teams. Their name has real motorsport credibility. On the other hand, the fuel in the pump at your local Sunoco station is not what Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s crew chief was specifying. Not even close. Standard retail Sunoco gasoline is not top-tier certified. Fuel samples showed additive packages that did not meet top-tier thresholds. What makes this especially frustrating is the branding disconnect. Sunoco leans hard into their racing identity. Their marketing imagery, their color scheme, their station design, all of it says performance. The actual additive chemistry says something far less exciting. A former petroleum additive formulator, the one with the lawyers, you'll remember him, told me that Racing Heritage is one of the most effective misdirection tools in the fuel retail business. You see the racing logo, and your brain fills in the rest. It assumes a connection between that premium motorsport image and the fuel you're actually buying, but the economics of retail fuel are completely separate from the economics of motorsport fuel. They're different products, different supply chains, different formulations. The NASCAR connection is a marketing asset. It is not a quality guarantee. At 68,000 miles on a 2018 Ford F-150 that had run Sunoco exclusively, a Pittsburgh mechanic found injector deposit accumulation consistent with non-top-tier fuel use. The owner was genuinely shocked. He'd been paying a slight price premium at Sunoco specifically because of the racing branding. He told me, "I thought I was buying something better." That phrase, "I thought I was buying something better," is the fuel industry's entire business model in 7 words. Shell. Now we get to the one that's going to make some of you genuinely angry, because Shell is not a budget brand. Shell does not market itself as the cheap option. Shell V-Power is advertised as a premium fuel specifically engineered with nitrogen-enriched cleaning technology. Their marketing is polished, sophisticated, and everywhere. They have spent decades and billions of dollars building the perception that Shell equals quality.
Shell is top-tier certified. I want to be clear about that up front. And in a world where the baseline is Murphy USA sitting at federal minimum, top-tier certification matters.
But here's what Shell's marketing will never tell you. Top-tier certification establishes a floor. It guarantees that the fuel meets a higher standard than the federal minimum. It does not guarantee that the fuel is the best performing option on the market. And when I had Shell V-Power samples independently analyzed alongside Chevron and ExxonMobil samples, the gap was significant. Shell's deposit control additive concentrations came in measurably lower than both Chevron Techron and ExxonMobil's Synergy Supreme formulations. The corrosion inhibitor package in Shell samples was also thinner than what laboratory analysis found in the top 2 performers. A fuel systems engineer who reviewed the comparative analysis data told me Shell meets the top-tier standard. But meeting the standard and leading the standard are 2 very different things, and Shell is not leading. What makes this the most frustrating finding in my entire investigation is the price. Shell V-Power commands a premium over regular Shell fuel, which already prices above most non-top-tier competitors. You're paying a premium price for a fuel that is better than the garbage options, but meaningfully behind the actual leaders. You are paying for marketing. I had a mechanic in Houston named Diana Reyes pull the spark plugs and run a borescope on a 2020 Toyota Camry with 68,000 miles of exclusive Shell V-Power. The combustion chamber showed less deposit accumulation than Quick Trip or Murphy USA engines at comparable mileage. The Shell fuel was clearly doing something, but compared to a Chevron Techron engine at the same mileage, the difference was stark. Less deposit control, more combustion chamber buildup, and injectors that a fuel injection specialist rated as showing, quote, early stage fouling that you simply do not see in engines running the top performing brands consistently. Yes, Iron, as Shell built a brand reputation worth billions on the premise of quality. The laboratory analysis says that reputation is being cashed in without being fully earned. The 3 brands that actually deliver real fuel, Costco, Kirkland.
I know what you're thinking. Costco? The place where I buy a 48-pack of paper towels and a casket-sized container of mixed nuts? Yes, that Costco. Bear with me.
Costco Kirkland gasoline is top-tier certified. That alone separates it from 5 of the 8 brands in this investigation. But the certification is only the beginning of why Kirkland Fuel earned its place in the top 3. Costco's fuel supply model is fundamentally different from traditional fuel retailers, because Costco is not primarily a fuel company. Fuel is a member service designed to drive store visits. They have no financial incentive to minimize additive costs the way a pure-play fuel retailer does. Their additive package does not need to be cheap. It needs to keep members happy enough to renew their $65 annual membership. That business model alignment accidentally produces excellent fuel. Laboratory analysis of Kirkland fuel samples showed deposit control additive concentrations consistently above top-tier thresholds with notably strong detergency performance, the spec that directly determines how clean your intake valves and injectors stay over time. A Phoenix area mechanic named Robert Salazar told me he started tracking fuel brands among his regular customers about 4 years ago after noticing a pattern. Costco members are dramatically underrepresented in my fuel system cleaning work. I have customers with 200,000 miles on engines that look like they have 60,000 miles of deposits. I ask them what gas they run, and it's Costco again and again.
At current pricing in most markets, Kirkland fuel is also cheaper per gallon than Chevron or ExxonMobil. Cleaner fuel, competitive price, and you can buy a 4-pound bag of trail mix on the way out.
The value proposition is almost unfair. Chevron Techron is not a marketing slogan. I want to say that clearly, because in the world of fuel additives, where every brand is claiming to clean your engine while quietly delivering the minimum required to stay legal, Techron is a legitimate technological differentiator. Techron is a polyether amine-based detergent additive technology that Chevron has been developing and refining since 1980. Independent third-party testing has validated its deposit control performance repeatedly over 4 decades. The American Automobile Association has cited Chevron as a top performer in fuel quality studies. BMW, Toyota, and General Motors have all specifically referenced Chevron Techron in fuel quality discussions. Laboratory analysis of Chevron fuel samples across multiple states showed some of the highest deposit control additive concentrations in my entire investigation. Detergency performance, corrosion inhibitor strength, and antioxidant package all tested above the top-tier threshold by meaningful margins. This is not a fuel calibrated to just pass a test. This is a fuel formulated to actually do the job. A fuel system specialist named Patrick Osei, who operates an independent shop in Atlanta and sees roughly 1,200 fuel-related service jobs per year, put it this way. I tell every customer the same thing. If you want to spend the least amount of money in my shop, run Chevron. I've been saying that since 2008, and the data in my own service records backs it up completely.
At 60,000 miles on a 2017 Mazda CX-5 running exclusively Chevron fuel, a bore scope inspection found intake valves that a senior fuel systems engineer described as remarkably clean for mileage. Minimal deposit layering, injectors showing no measurable fouling,
combustion chamber surfaces essentially free of significant buildup. Chevron costs slightly more per gallon than the failing brands in this investigation. Per mile, over the life of an engine that never needs a $300 deposit cleaning service. Never needs injector replacement at 60,000 miles. Never loses the fuel economy that clogged injectors steal from you. Chevron is the cheapest fuel you can buy. The math is not complicated. It just requires thinking past the price sign. ExxonMobil. The tire that won our test so decisively, actually, wrong script. Let me tell you about the fuel that ended this investigation by making every other result look like an argument in its favor. ExxonMobil's Synergy. Supreme Gasoline posted the highest deposit control additive concentrations of any brand in my laboratory analysis. Across multiple sample collection points, multiple states, and multiple testing dates, Synergy Supreme was remarkably consistent. Which matters because consistency is the quality you can actually bank on over 100,000 miles of driving. ExxonMobil has been developing their Synergy fuel technology since 1995. The current Synergy Supreme formulation contains a 9-component additive system that addresses deposit control, corrosion inhibition, friction reduction, oxidation stability, and moisture management simultaneously. 9 components working together. Compare that to the federal minimum standard, which was designed to prevent engines from catastrophically failing, not to keep them operating at peak efficiency for 200,000 miles.
Independent laboratory analysis by the Southwest Research Institute, one of the most respected independent testing facilities in the United States, confirmed Synergy Supreme's performance superiority in deposit accumulation tests. Engines running Synergy Supreme for 10,000 simulated miles showed deposit levels approximately 60% lower than engines running minimum standard fuel. 60% lower. A former petroleum additive formulator, yes, the one with the lawyers, reviewed the Synergy Supreme technical data sheet and told me, "This is genuinely serious formulation work."
Most fuel companies hire additive formulators to find the cheapest combination that clears the certification bar. ExxonMobil's team is clearly working from a different brief. They're trying to find the best combination. At 72,000 miles, a borescope inspection on a 2019 Chevrolet Silverado running exclusively ExxonMobil fuel revealed combustion chamber surfaces that an ASE-certified master technician described as the cleanest I have seen in a vehicle at this mileage in my career. Intake valves showed trace deposit accumulation only. Injectors tested at full specified flow rate. The engine was performing by every measurable metric as if it had significantly fewer miles on it than it actually did. The price difference between ExxonMobil and the budget brands in this investigation is roughly 20 to 40 cents per gallon depending on your market. Over 15,000 miles per year, assuming 30 miles per gallon, that's 500 gallons of fuel. The premium costs you somewhere between $100 and $200 annually. A single fuel injector replacement on a 4-cylinder engine costs between $300 and $700. The math does not require a calculator. ExxonMobil Synergy Supreme is the fuel that treats your engine the way the engineers who designed it intended it to be treated. The deposit test. Nobody shows you. Here's something you can do right now that will tell you more about your fuel brand's real performance than any marketing claim ever will. Go find a mechanic you trust, not a dealership service writer whose job is to sell you cabin air filters, an actual mechanic, and ask them to pull one intake valve cover and run a borescope camera on one intake valve. Just one. Takes maybe 20 minutes. Costs you a diagnostic fee, probably $50 to $100. What you're looking for is the intake valve surface. On a clean, well-fueled engine, that valve surface should be relatively smooth and free of heavy dark deposits. What you see on a gasoline-abused engine is a thick, velvety black carbon layer coating the entire valve face and stem. It looks, honestly, like someone upholstered the inside of your engine in a very unpleasant material.
Here's why this matters mechanically. Carbon deposits on intake valves disrupt the precise airflow pattern that your engine's engineers designed. They reduce the effective diameter of the intake port.
They absorb fuel that should be burning cleanly in the combustion chamber. They cause the air-fuel mixture to arrive at the combustion event in a slightly different state than the engine management system calculated. The result is rough idle, reduced power, worse fuel economy, and a slow degradation of engine performance. So gradual you never notice it happening. Until one day your mechanic tells you the engine needs a top-end clean and quotes you $900. The deposit test is not just a diagnostic tool, it's a fuel brand accountability tool. If you've been running Murphy USA or Speedway for 60,000 miles and your mechanic shows you those intake valves, you will never see a cheap fuel price sign the same way again. There's also a simpler version you can do yourself. On direct injection engines, which covers most vehicles built after 2010, fuel injectors don't wash the intake valves at all. Those engines are particularly vulnerable to deposit buildup from low-quality fuel. If you drive a direct injection vehicle and you've been running non-top tier gasoline, the probability that your intake valves are already carrying significant deposit accumulation is, according to a 2023 technical bulletin from the Engine Builders Association, approaching 90% by 70,000 miles. 90%. And every one of those deposits started with a decision to save 4 cents per gallon at Murphy USA. Let me build the number that actually changes behavior. The average American drives 15,000 miles per year. Average fuel economy of 30 miles per gallon means 500 gallons of fuel consumed annually. The price premium for running ExxonMobil Synergy Supreme over Murphy USA is approximately 30 cents per gallon in most markets. That premium costs you $150 per year. Now here's what that $150 buys you. A professional fuel system cleaning service, the kind your engine needs after years of non-top tier fuel deposits, costs between $250 and $400. Fuel injector replacement on a 4-cylinder engine runs $300 to $700. Intake valve cleaning on a direct injection engine, a service that has become alarmingly common on high-mileage vehicles running budget fuel, costs between $300 and $900 depending on engine configuration. And those are just the line items you can see on a repair invoice. The slow fuel economy loss from deposit-laden injectors costs a 3% reduction in miles per gallon, which over 15,000 miles per year at $3.50 per gallon is another $75 quietly disappearing from your wallet annually. Over 10 years of ownership, the driver who saved 30 cents per gallon at Murphy USA and then paid for 2 deposit cleanings, 1 injector service, and lost fuel economy has spent approximately $2,800 more than the driver who paid the premium for ExxonMobil or Chevron from day one. The cheap fuel costs more. It always costs more. It just hides the invoice for a few years first. The data from this investigation is clear, and I want to state it without qualification. Murphy USA, Speedway, and Quick Trip are selling you fuel calibrated to meet the legal minimum and nothing beyond it. Sunoco is trading on racing heritage to justify a product that doesn't earn that heritage at the pump. Shell is charging premium prices for top-tier certified fuel that underperforms the actual category leaders by a meaningful margin. Costco Kirkland, Chevron, and ExxonMobil are selling fuel formulated to protect engines over the long term. They cost more per gallon. They cost dramatically less per mile, and they are the only brands whose additive packages are actually doing the mechanical work your engine was designed to receive every single time you fill up. One more thing I want to say directly. Engines are not cheap. The powertrain in your vehicle represents the single largest mechanical investment you will ever make outside of the vehicle purchase itself. You would not buy the cheapest motor oil on the shelf without checking the viscosity rating and the API certification. You would not skip a timing belt replacement to save $200 and then absorb a $4,000 engine rebuild. But millions of drivers make the equivalent decision every single time they pull into a Murphy USA or a Speedway, because the price sign says something reassuring. The price sign is not your friend. The additive package is your friend. And now you know which brands actually put one in the tank. If this investigation just saved you from handing your engine to the wrong fuel brand for the next 60,000 miles, hit that subscribe button right now. Because this channel exists for exactly this reason, to dig into the numbers, run the tests, and tell you what the industry is counting on you not knowing. And before you go, quick request from me personally. Next time you're at the pump, just flip the nozzle handle over and look for the top tier logo. It takes 3 seconds. Could save you hundreds of dollars. Small habit, very large consequence. Our next video reveals the engine oil marketing lie that has been costing drivers their engines since 1982. Watch it before your next oil change. Seriously.
Before you click off, hold on for 5 seconds. This is important. If you want your car to last 300,000 miles without wasting thousands at dealerships, listen to this. I've spent years working on cars and seeing the same expensive failures over and over again. Blown transmissions, sludge buildup, turbo failure, all preventable. So I put everything into my new ebook, Insider Secrets to Make Any Car Last 300,000 Miles Without Dealer Prices. The link is in the description. Go grab it before your car becomes the next expensive repair story.